good evening, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. It's certainly a different time for myself and Connor here, but yeah, welcome to another in the series of Design Industries Meet the Vendor series, where we get to meet some amazing software vendors from all over the world who get to tell us a little bit about their tools and some of their new and upcoming features, and yeah, how it all fits into the ICN ecosystem. And today, yeah, I've got Connor from Xray, who's going to tell us all about testing and Xray.
My name is Connor Wolford. I am a senior partner manager here at Xray. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and we will take it away. So for today's quick session, we're going to do a lightning round of introducing essentially our new product, which is Xray Enterprise. We'll do a little bit of background on Xray. We've been around for a while so that you all have that understanding if you haven't heard of us before, but we'll then dive right into this new product because we want to show everyone what we're all about with this one. And there are some powerful features here that I want to start to, at least at a high level, showcase today. So thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks to Michael and the team for having us. Let's dive right in here. So we have the agenda here. We'll talk a little bit about Xray, and then I'm going to jump right into Xray Enterprise, show you a couple cool features along the way. Michael, feel free to ask some questions, and we'll go from there. So just a little bit about Xray. For those of you who are unfamiliar with us, Xray really, we're all about introducing native quality management, which is a newer holistic approach that naturally embeds the quality management process into the development workflow. That's what we're all about. So with this native quality management, all QA tools, tests, and processes are infused into the development environments you already work with, like Jira, of course. So quality and development teams speak the same language, stay on the same page, and release consistently quality software together. And Xray really helps facilitate all of that. You can see some stats there. We are fortunate enough to have really grown in popularity over the years, as some of you might be aware. And some of you tuning in might already be Xray users. So just wanted to highlight that, what we're all about. Again, might be familiar to some of you. So that's us, Xray, right? And with that, I want to dive right into Xray Enterprise. So of course, Xray is an app that is offered on the Atlassian marketplace. We're a test management solution for Jira users. We've been around for a number of years, and now recently, over the past couple of months, we've started to introduce this new product, Xray Enterprise. So kind of taking things to the next level as an add-on to your current Xray license. So let's dive into that here. Just wanted to provide just a quick overview here so you can all understand and be on the same page at a high level what it is and what it's all about. So as I mentioned, it's kind of taking this quality management to the next level on an enterprise scale. It's a way, really what we found is it's a way for teams to unlock quality. We're all about scale, speed, and efficiency. And this product really kind of helps elevate all of that. So with the tool, it's a newer offering, of course, as I mentioned. A couple key points that I want to point out that you'll see when I showcase some features in a second is that, again, we're all about working faster and smarter. And we have a new tool within the tool, essentially called Test Case Designer, which is a test design optimization tool, really differentiated in that fact and super robust and powerful that can allow you to generate optimized test cases that if you'd like to achieve 100% coverage, it's going to allow you to do that. We'll talk more about what that exactly means. Couple other points just to point out, you can now trigger automation directly from Xray. I'll start to show that today briefly. So it's allowing, as we found, really non-technical users to get in the game when it comes to automation, which is really huge these days, as we just try to kind of, talk about scale, speed, and efficiency. And then what we found has been really big for our users as well is that we have a enterprise support experience that we're now providing automatically when you purchase an Xray Enterprise license. So our team is here for that as well. And users are very interested in that experience too, of course. So just a little bit about what Xray Enterprise is all about. And here's the current feature set. Now you're seeing some are available right now. Others, as a new product, we are still developing or starting to release. You'll see these in a moment, especially the dark green ones, of course, that have already been released. But things like cross-project reporting, allowing you to generate reports for multiple projects. When we talk about enterprise scale, working across multiple teams, getting that higher visibility, this is something that is really important, and we've gotten feedback over the years that it's something that we should implement. So we've taken that and put it into Xray Enterprise. I already mentioned kind of that remote jobs trigger for automation. We'll talk about test case designer. You have that enterprise support experience. Test case versioning. This was a big one that we got a lot of feedback for over the years, just allowing you to get a little bit more flexible with your test planning efforts and execution efforts, and create multiple versions of the same test. Sounds simple, but it's really powerful, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to implement that in Xray Enterprise now. Dynamic test plans is something we're starting to release, kind of allowing you to define test plans with a JQL query or filter. It's out on data center. It's not out on cloud yet, but soon it's coming. And a couple others we're still working on, getting more dynamic with managing test environments, allowing for more variability there, as well as aligning more with kind of safe focused reporting efforts. So more to come there. But again, all of this is just allowing us to deliver more at scale with higher speed and efficiency. So we're trying to, align everything with that theme essentially, and kind of taking all this to the next level. So that's Xray Enterprise, and I was just about to jump inside the tool, Michael, unless you had any kind of quick questions or comments for me.
I just
All
think
good.
Amazing how things have come along over time.
Yeah.
It's just really,
yep. You have that perspective.
Yeah, that progression is quite incredible.
Yeah, well, thanks for that.
Yeah, listening to the customer and understanding what's important.
Right.
But yeah, I can see how all of that adds a lot of value.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that feedback. Yeah, that's what we're all about, really. So we were super excited to get this launched, and I think with that excitement, let's continue it with actually kind of showing you what some of these new features look like. So I'll jump inside the tool now, and we're inside Jira and Xray here. I have Xray Enterprise, of course, and the first feature that I wanted to show is that test case designer. I will say it's one of our really kind of premier, robust features of Xray Enterprise right now. So I'm going to spend probably the most time on this feature out of that set that I showed, but for good reason, right? So the way that you can access this is just on the left-hand side here. We have test case designer. So you click that. I've actually already got it opened up, so I'm just going to switch over the tab. It's going to open up a new tab here. You'll get to some sort of, kind of a test case designer dashboard, but essentially what you're going to do from there is just create a model. And you're seeing an already built out model here, just for the sake of this demo. So basically, again, test case designer is a test case design optimization tool. Test case designer takes, as you'll see, a model-based approach to just essentially allowing you to generate better tests than kind of any tests you could naturally just kind of create on your own. What we're going to do instead is allow this tool through its algorithm, once we define these models, to generate just more robust tests that are essentially going to cover more and do so with less in terms of fewer tests. So we've really built out this tool to accomplish that goal. It's kind of unique in terms of addressing that test design phase first. But here it is. So basically, you're going to define a scope for a given model, what you're seeing here. And for this example, I just took think of a very simplistic credit card transaction process that we kind of want to functionally test. What you're going to then do is take the first and most important step, which is defining the critical variation ideas, the critical testing factors that the tool is then going to use when its algorithm generates optimized tests for you based on these ideas. So these thoughts and these factors are going to come from requirements that have been handed to you, user stories, conversations with business analysts or clients, whatever those sources of information are, we define these ideas. So things like, in this example, the type of credit card, the credit card number, quantity of the items you're purchasing. All of these we've deemed are critical to test based on those sources of information. And we have a couple ways in which you can really start to facilitate this step that's really important. So we have a mind map view. within the tool that automatically gets generated, which allows you to basically hand this, let's say, to a client stakeholder, a business analyst, whoever, and get feedback. Say, here's what I believe is critical to test for this scope. Here's how I'm thinking of testing those ideas. What do you think? With this model-based approach, you get that feedback. Perhaps you need to add some new ideas that you didn't think of, change how you're defining some of these. All you have to do is head back to your parameters model here, edit a couple things, maybe add a few new parameters with the different views that we have for doing all of this. And everything else in your model, your generated tests, your analysis reports, everything gets automatically updated from there, which is really cool, and a benefit of this model-based approach instead of just immediately starting to write tests on your own once you get handed requirements. So that's this first step here.
Yeah, that obviously it's like a much simpler way of doing things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, it's getting people to just kind of critically think about their requirements too, and making sure, we're all on the same page about what we're testing and how we're doing. So we're getting some good feedback there about like, this is enhancing collaboration and communication across teams, which is cool. So along the way, a couple other things I'll just point out. You can add in any rules to your eventual generated scenarios at any point. We have these constraints here. You're essentially using this capability to make sure that when you generate your scenarios, all of them are valid. All of them are possible to test for based on business rules and how your scope or your system works, right? So this is a really dummy example that doesn't even make a whole lot of sense, but just to get the point across, this is what we call an invalid pair. It's one example of the constraints that you can add that essentially will say this interaction here between these two ideas will now never show up in a test when we generate those because they're just impossible to test for. This is just a really lame example. Let's say the system you always have to purchase at least one book. Well, then I'm going to invalidate these two to say that. We have a couple different ways in which you can add these. This is a more of a text-based way to do everything if you prefer that. But again, just using these capabilities to make sure that all of our scenarios are essentially making sense. So we can add rules. We have this forced interactions tabs that I'll breeze over today. I want to show you the scenarios. So within seconds, you get an optimized set of scenarios here, test cases, essentially. What these scenarios are going to do is cover every single typical or interactions that typically trigger defects. So some of you may be familiar with the ideas of pairwise testing or combinatorial testing. That's essentially what this algorithm is doing. It's essentially taking the fact that a lot of defects out there can be triggered by testing for every idea once within a given model or testing for every two-way interaction or pair of ideas at least once. Every combination of two values from our model here is going to show up at least once because it's just been kind of proven over the years that you can get really good bang for your buck or, maximize, your critical coverage by just testing for these interactions as they're the ones that can really kind of trigger the majority of defects out there. So the algorithm says, let's just cover every single one of those in as mathematically few scenarios as possible. So that's how we start to get to, more coverage, fewer tests. We've generated 29 scenarios here that are covering 174 unique interactions. And two-way interactions is kind of that default coverage strength, covering all pairs of interactions essentially that are valid. So we're not going to try to test everything. I like to show this eye because this says, hey, within that very simplistic model that we defined, there's actually there's actually 1,200 scenarios we could actually test if we were to try to test everything. And we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on these interactions instead to just kind of maximize our efforts with the small amounts of time that we have these days, as we move from sprint to sprint or under a time crunch and trying to release faster. So that's what these interactions are all about. We've got different coverage strengths. I could generate all triplets of combinations if I wanted to, every three-way interaction. It's a lot more thorough. We can actually kind of align better with risk-based efforts too, and cover every, let's say, triplet combination only within certain areas of our model. I want to be more thorough here. I want to be less thorough in other areas, be a little bit more targeted. So there's a lot you can do here and there's a lot of power, but the bottom line is more coverage, fewer tests, doing our best to just catch defects as soon as possible in the process so they're not slipping through into production, UAT, systems integration, and so on. So that's what this capability is all about, really.
Well, again, that's amazing. You can see how much time that's going to save you. And again, just focus
Exactly
where the value is.
Exactly right. Two other things really just to point out in this tool. There's a lot I could cover, of course. We have some analysis capabilities that are really powerful. So we have this matrix, for example. This essentially allows you to view the exact coverage that's being achieved after running X number of those scenarios that have been generated for you. So this is where the slider is right now, reviewing the exact coverage that's being achieved after running the first 16 tests cases there. So we're already at 80% coverage. These squares represent those interactions. So green have been covered after the first 16 tests, as you can see here. Red squares have not been covered yet after the first 16, but you'll see when they will first be covered. And of course, as I move the slider along here and let's say run more tests, if that's something I'm looking to do, you get more green, less red until you get to 100% coverage. This black square is just a constraint that I've added, so that'll always stay black. We're not going to cover that. So implications here are we're making better decisions, data-driven decisions about our execution and planning efforts. And we have that confidence to just make a call, risk-based decisions, and just move on. So take this to any manager, client, stakeholder. They're going to see exactly what we're covering, what we're missing. It's a judgment call. And if we're under a time crunch, we can just confidently make that decision and move on. So really powerful here in terms of gaining those insights.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never going to
One other, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, yeah, you're never going to get a perfect, so it's always risk, and this gives you the visibility, so you can make a judgment-based decision. Yeah, that's really
exactly right. Yeah, and it's hard to do that on your own, and just when you're looking at a set of tests, right? So that's what these analysis reports are all about. We've got a couple others here that I could show. I want to talk about real quick how you can start to transition these scenarios outside back into Xray through an API that we've set up. So we've got our scripting capabilities here. I'll start with the manual scripts. These are scripts that I've already built out, but essentially what you're going to do with this capability is build out basically a one-size-fits-all template script that aligns well with manual execution efforts, if that's something you're looking to place into Xray. So these are template scripts. It's just one that you're building here. And along the way, you parameterize them. You insert these parameter placeholders that you can pull in. And below we have our scenarios. And what the tool is going to do upon exporting or syncing back to Xray, it's going to take this one script and just apply it to every scenario. So you can see that it's starting to cycle through the data here for each scenario. Again, meant to save you time. So when we take this back to Xray, as you'll see, it's actually going to generate an issue, a test for each one of these scenarios after writing just one script, which is really nice. Along the similar lines, we have it for more geared towards automation efforts. So we take a Gherkin BDD style approach to building out these scripts as you're seeing here. On the left is something I've built out. You'll get a template to work off of in any new model. But again, you're parameterizing these steps. You're using the caret key essentially to populate a list of your dropdown or populate a dropdown list of your parameters. You insert those on the right-hand side. You get a preview of in real time of what it would look like inside Xray or as a feature file. So scenario outline is going to build out a data table. Each of these rows are being a scenario that you've generated before. All these columns are the parameters you've added to that script. We can write, 6 scripts here. We could write 1. We could have multiple feature files here. We align with robot, as you're seeing as well. Lots of options and flexibility here. And instead, if I didn't want to generate a data table, I could actually use the scenario syntax to generate a scenario for every single test case that's applicable to. So you're seeing a preview of that here. So a data-driven approach, you write one or a couple of scripts, the tool takes care of the work for you, generating that data table automatically or the scenarios. And all of this is backed by, again, the optimization that the algorithm has done in terms of coverage and fewer tests to run. So I know I covered a lot here. That's the scripting capability. Before I pause, I'll just mention, now that you've kind of built these out, at any point, what you can do is synchronize all of this back to Xray. So you fill out a couple fields. I'm going to just pull the manual scripts for this demo. But you fill out a couple fields. You can customize certain fields, align it with certain projects. You can either replace existing issues inside Xray or update those, or create new issues for these tests. But basically, when you click synchronize, see your sync history too. I've used this for demos, as you can tell. But basically, when you hop back over to Xray, it's going to tell you when the synchronization is done. And I believe it was just done. And essentially what it's going to do here is it's going to, again, populate issues for each one of those tests. You're seeing the kind of the manual scripts that I had built inside Test Case Designer just populate here. So that's kind of the workflow, how you can get back to Xray with all of this optimization that you've done. You have some other export options inside the tool to export actual artifacts outside of Xray and Test Case Designer. If that's something you're looking to do, like exporting skeletal code, step definition files in different languages and frameworks. So really robust, powerful capability here to address that test design step, essentially. So wanted to just call that out. Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. And again, just the connectivity and how it all hangs together. And yeah, just in this day and age, the complexity of and volume of code deployed, you really need these type of tools to assist pulling it all together.
Exactly. And that's what we've really just tried to do here. It's kind of, you're essentially taking, like, of course, the robust test management solution that Xray and Xray Enterprise are, and combining it with kind of this additional step, test design, with kind of this robust solution that we've built to address that step head on. So yeah, that's Test Case Designer. Of course, it's a premier feature inside Xray Enterprise. It was one of the first that we built into the tool. And yeah, so a couple other things just to point out real quick. We have a couple other new features, of course, with Xray Enterprise. I mentioned the cross-project reporting, which was really big, where essentially, what we can do is, basically tie in, sorry. Oh, let me go to Xray reports. I went to the wrong one. That's my bad. So basically what you can now do is generate reports, not just for one project, but let's say for multiple. You can just kind of key in multiple projects here if you want that higher visibility across projects or teams. Some people are really wanting that these days and have requested it for a long time. So we were able to implement that, or now you can get that visibility as you're seeing here. So might seem simple, but really powerful for teams to just get that visibility, especially when we talk about, this theme of enterprise scale and adopting all of this on that larger scale. So cross-project reporting is really big for us. We also have that remote jobs triggering. So if you head to your project settings, there's this newer field here, remote jobs trigger. And now you can kind of trigger remote jobs for automation. Won't show the full workflow today, but you can start to see a preview here. You can build out configurations for Jenkins, Bamboo, GitHub, GitLab, and Azure DevOps at the moment. I'm sure we'll, kind of continue to add to this list based on customer feedback, but this is what we have so far. Basically what you're doing, I've already, as you can see, built out a configuration for Jenkins, but you build out, a build inside Jenkins, let's say, you give it and then you come over here and you give the configuration a name, what's the API token, the URL, all of those fields. And essentially now you can, inside any test, trigger an automation build that will then just kind of pull in and activate, that build inside Jenkins to make it run, all within just Xray, which is really nice. So that was also really big for us to just kind of start to synchronize all of this and these different steps more seamlessly. So I wanted to point that out too. There are a couple other features, of course, that we're adding. I wanted to basically call out the fact again that we have the enterprise support experience at this point. That will, and we've got some newer kind of add-ons that are going to come along with that experience. But these are some of the main things that I wanted to point out today. If we head back to that feature set, right, we're going to continue to add to it. And I guess one last thing I could show, I almost forgot, is test case versioning. So going back real quick, within any test as well, we just have the ability to essentially create multiple versions of any test here. So down below right here, at any point, I've actually already created one, create multiple versions. You can manage the different versions of a given test, see when they were first created, who did so, who updated them, just allowing that more variability and flexibility in your planning efforts, as you might just want to create some quick variations of different scripts. And you can do that right here. And even, to, of course, the test case designer test that came out of that side of the tool. So again, all aligning with that kind of enterprise scale and those efforts. I will say this tool, though, of course, is built for large companies, medium-sized companies. We're even seeing small companies adopt it too. Anyone can use these features, but that's really what I wanted to just highlight real show today. Michael, did you have any other comments or questions on those?
No, it's fantastic. Thanks very much, Connor.
Awesome.
For going through all of that. Just, I guess a couple of questions I'm thinking
of.
With enterprise support, or how does that?
So for enterprise support, basically, what we've done is taken our premier support that we've always offered as like an additional purchase, and essentially taken that and now just offered it automatically with an Xray Enterprise purchase. So that comes with 24/7 support, faster SLAs, of course. You get roadmap meetings with us to see what's coming, as we continue to build out features and such. You get that more feature voting power, system checkups. And the last thing I'll mention that has actually shown to be pretty big for some of our clients who are already using Xray is the fact that Xray Enterprise now offers up to 500 gigabytes of storage. So a lot more storage than standard Xray offers, which has proven to already be kind of a big selling point for some people too. That's basically what that experience entails.
Okay, that sounds good. And what would you say to an organization considering getting started in Xray? I mean, they might be in ALM or something, and they've got all this stuff and they want to bring it across. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say if you're a Jira user, Xray has proven to be, one of, if not, the most robust test management solution and add-on to Jira in the marketplace, in the Atlassian marketplace. So there's proven experience there, and proven, I would say, what's the word? It's a proven product that we know has demonstrated huge benefits for users across the globe. When it comes to test management, we've built out a lot of features over the years to really make that step as efficient as possible. When it comes to collaboration and communication and managing all of this, that's what we're all about. And now with this Xray Enterprise, you can take it to the next level and really, address another step in the process too with, let's say, test case design. If you've had issues with bugs in the past and addressing those and your costs are going up, all of this is meant to be a cost saving solution and efficiency savings. So I would say if you're a Jira user and you're looking for a new test management solution that's going to allow you to just kind of efficiently address this step, there's no better option than Xray. So check us out if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, and I'd agree. We've been obviously in the Atlassian world for a long time, and Xray is always it's got the sweet spot. I think I like to talk about power to weight ratio because I like my motor racing, but it's like Atlassian like that, which it's just really, really well balanced, and it's got everything you need and doesn't have the things that you don't, and not too complex, not too cumbersome, all those things. So fantastic. Our clients love it.
That's great to hear. Yeah,
Industries is an Xray partner, and so if you'd like to find out more, I guess, is there anything else we need to cover, Connor? I mean, obviously, if someone wants more information, they can get in contact with Design Industries. Obviously, do get in contact with us as well. They've got heaps of information on their website. What else would you like to add? Just final.
Yeah, I'll mention these real quick. You can see them on my screen here. Xray Enterprise is available for data center and cloud. We recently released a cloud version for it. It does require an active Xray core license. So you can kind of consider it as an add-on purchase to Xray core. And, by default, if you purchase it, you get 10 edit access seats to test case designer and unlimited view only seats, but you can always add more edit access seats to that by just reaching out to us or, Design Industries if you have the partner in place. So I just wanted to mention that we talked about the enterprise support, and we have free trials available. So just head to the Atlassian Marketplace. You can download those there and start to poke around with some of this. I highly encourage that. So I think you mentioned the rest of the resources that we have available, Michael. You can always reach out to Design Industries, the partner in place. And we also have a bunch of resources online to really make sure you have a full understanding of what we're all about, what our products are all about.
Well, thanks very much, Connor. That was a really smooth wrap up. That was good. Just a really good coverage of all the features. All right. Well, thanks very much for joining, and yeah, we'll speak again soon.
Awesome. Right. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day. Cheers.